Welcome, welcome, welcome. I would like to welcome you to another episode of the Unpopular Podcast. This is the man, the myth, the legend, Jalen Hunter. And if you do me a favor, please subscribe to whoever you're listening. Please subscribe to whoever you're watching. It definitely means a lot to me. So I've said this before, but there are huge days in the NBA. Of course, you have the draft. You know, which young prospects from college, from the G League are going to be coming into the league. The training camp or off season, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you get the teams back, you're working out, of course, opening day. And then you have what is coming up tomorrow, which is the NBA trade deadline. Now, the NBA trade deadline is huge for a lot of reasons. First and foremost, this is the last time that you can trade, you know, players before, of course, until the next year. And teams usually use this to get off bad contracts or to try to bolster your team or try to just completely rebuild your team or start the rebuild. A lot of teams have different agendas going into the NBA trade deadline, but that doesn't take away from the fact that the NBA trade deadline is one of the most important days in the NBA. And this year, it will be, of course, tomorrow, Thursday, February 10th. So what I wanted to do is I'm going to go and talk about every team in the NBA. Probably going to go alphabetical order, and I'm going to do buy, sell, or hold. Buy, should they be buyers or should they try to acquire talent for the NBA trade deadline? Should they be selling? Do they have a lot of contracts? Do they have bad contracts? Do they need to start a rebuild or hold? They don't really need to do much, you know, like what should they do? It's, you know, me explaining that is simple, but in my head, I'm like, Jalen, what you talking about? So let's just get this going. Let's start with the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks are in an interesting position. You have a lot of young talent, you know, Trae Young, Kevin Huerter, Clint Capella. You have a lot of young talent. However, there are still needs that the team has. First and foremost, I think it would be beneficial to be buyers in this market. Now, the Atlanta Hawks don't have to be buyers, but I don't think they should really I understand that John Collins has been on the trade deadline for a minute now. I don't know if he's just unhappy. I don't know what it is, but John Collins has been on the trade deadline for a minute, meaning you have an asset John Collins is one of their best players. And of course, he is a really good player. He's a young player. He's a very athletic player. His outside game has gotten better. So you can be sellers, but in that you can also be buyers. You can get a young, they need more shooting outside of Trae. You know what they need? They need another player that can really put the ball on the ground and create their shot. I mean, outside of Trae Young, they don't really have a reliable person that can create their own shot. And I would have said maybe go for CJ McCollum, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. I think it'll be beneficial. Maybe see if you can get off of John Collins. Maybe see if you can get off of Danilo Gallinari or, one of those contracts. Because Atlanta doesn't need to do much, but it would be beneficial for them to get a player that can relieve the shot creation for Trae Young, if that makes sense. Trae Young is the only player on that team outside of maybe a Lou Williams, but he's not really at the level at this point in his career where he can be reliable night in and night out. So I would be buyers if I was Atlanta to try to get another player that can create for himself. Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics are in a weird spot. They're in a weird spot because they're a good team, but I don't know how many times. It's like they're good at certain things, but not good at others, of course. Now, of course, every team's like that. But when you look at the Boston Celtics, look how they're built. You have Marcus Smart, defensive player, which for the life of me, I do not understand why he has a green light to shoot threes, because he can't shoot threes. But it is what it is. You have Marcus Smart. Then you have two high quality players in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Of course, both interchangeable. I would prefer Jason Tatum over Jaylen Brown, but both are good. And then you have, Al Horford, Robert Williams. The Boston Celtics need to figure out where they want to go, what they want to do. One thing that is clear is Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are great players. However, we've seen time and time again now, it could be due to just youth, that they haven't been in the league for that long, but when one player is going off, when Jason Tatum's going off, Jaylen Brown doesn't do much. When Jaylen Brown's going off, Jason Tatum doesn't do much. It's very rare. I know it happened once or twice this year, but it's very rare that both of them go off for like a 30-point game, or both of them go off. And the Boston Celtics have needs. They need I think a reliable, a reliable big man. They don't really, Al Horford's cool, Robert Williams is cool, but they need more of a reliable big man. And they also need, in my opinion, a better point guard. Yes, you have Marcus Smart. Yes, you have Dennis Schroeder. And to me, both are complete ends of the spectrum, as in defensive, but not really that good offensively, and Marcus Smart offensively, but definitely not that good defensively in Dennis Schroeder. So I understand that. I would say that the Boston Celtics should be sellers. If you can't figure out what you're going to do with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Now, if you're going to keep them together, which I have no problem them doing, and it looks like that's what they kind of want to do, they're going to have to figure out how to coexist when both are having great games. Because when both are having when one's having a great game, the other one just falls into the, I'm going to just defer. There's been so many times where they've been up big and turn out lose the game because it was just, it's really turned into like a one-on-one type situation, kind of what Brooklyn does, but the difference is you have Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum doing the one-on-one thing, and in Brooklyn you have three people. So I would say sellers if, I don't know though. See, that's why the Boston Celtics is a tough one, because in one hand, if you want to, you can get a lot for Jaylen Brown. I wouldn't trade Jason Tatum, but you can get a lot for Jaylen Brown. But are the pieces that you would get for Jaylen Brown pieces that could put you over the top? I don't know. So you know what? I'll probably, I'm going to change my mind. For Boston, I'm going to say hold. I'm going to say hold because unless you trade like a Marcus Smart. If you trade a Marcus Smart, do the thing. But no, sell. I would try to get more of a balanced point guard or a reliable big man. So I would say sell. I'm going to go back. The Boston Celtics should be sellers for sellers and buyers, because you're going to have to sell. You know what I mean? Yeah. Brooklyn Nets. Let's stay here for a second. So the Brooklyn Nets are an interesting team going to this trade deadline, solely because of there's a lot going on with this team. With the 8-game losing streak, 9-game losing streak at this point. Kyrie's still a part-time player. Kevin Durant's hurt. And one of the biggest reasons why they are one of the teams to look out for this trade deadline is because of James Harden. Now, James Harden has expressed his frustration with being in Brooklyn. And a lot of speculations have been flying between, he's going to test free agency, and a lot of speculations have been flying about should they trade and should there be a James Harden for Ben Simmons trade. I do think it'll be beneficial for both teams. I also think that the 76ers would be more of a winner than the Brooklyn Nets in this situation. But now reports have come out saying, Brooklyn's not going to trade James Harden. But then it keeps being like, all right, we'll trade him. We're not going to trade him. We'll trade. I don't know what's going to happen with this. I mean, the problem with this whole situation for Brooklyn is, yes, you have, James Harden. Yes, you have Kyrie Irving in times. Yes, you have, when he gets back from injury, Kevin Durant. But what else do you really have from that? Paul Millsap hasn't really worked. LaMarcus Aldridge hasn't really been working, and he's been injured. Joe Harris has been injured. Blake Griffin is just a complete shell of him, of his former self. So, yes, you may have James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving, but outside of that, what do you have? And this is one of the biggest reasons why I said before the year started, it may be beneficial to trade a Kyrie or maybe beneficial to trade a James Harden, because you don't have a defender on. Your best defender is who? Bruce Brown, Claxton, which he's a decent rim protector, that is Claxton, but you don't have another real solid defender. I mean, it just doesn't work. And if I were Brooklyn, you have a player that has already said he's going to test free agency. You have a player that's already said that he is unhappy with the situation that he's in as far as being in Brooklyn. So instead of losing James Harden for nothing, if you do lose him, I would make the trade. I mean, think about it. Even though Ben Simmons has not played this year due to, I guess, his feelings being hurt, you still have a player that you'll have on contract for at least 3 more years. At least. And you're taking him out of a situation where he doesn't have to be the primary ball handler. You have Kyrie Irving. You have Kevin Durant. He doesn't have to be the primary playmaker. You have Kevin Durant. You have Kyrie Irving. He can be kind of like an Andrew Wiggins type situation. Andrew Wiggins was good for Minnesota. Former number 1 overall pick. He was good in Minnesota. He was good next to Karl Anthony Towns. The only problem was he was expected to do more because it was just pretty much a 2-man team. He was expected to be that number 1 overall pick. He was expected to be the best player on the floor every night, and he just could not live up to that. You see hell, he's an all-star now. You see how good Andrew Wiggins is playing in Golden State, where not only is he not the number 1, not the first option, he's probably the 3rd or 4th option when Draymond Green gets back. Now, Ben Simmons would not be the 4th option, but Ben Simmons would be the 3rd option when your first 2 options is Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Now, again, I understand the intrigue is there to keep James Harden because he's one of the best when he's on his game. He's one of the best scorers the league has ever seen. However, when you look at the construct and the makeup of this team, you have a lot of players. Your top 3 players do the same thing. Now, of course, Kevin Durant to me is the best. Then you have James Harden when he's on. Then you have Kyrie. But you have 3 players that do the same thing, and then you really don't have any other player when you need the big stop, who do you go to? When you need a momentum shifting block or a momentum shifting steal, who do you go to? You don't really have that. And so if I were Brooklyn, I would think hard about being a seller. And when I say seller, I mean I understand that, they're best friends as far as Kevin Durant and James Harden. And I understand that you just got him, so you want to make this work. But it hasn't. Now, I'm not going to say it hasn't worked because of James Harden. I mean, Kevin Durant's not there. Joe Harris isn't there. LaMarcus Aldridge isn't out the lineup. Kyrie Irving's in out the lineup due to, the COVID situation thing. So I understand that it's not just James Harden, but it has not been working up to here. And hell, even James Harden has come out and said that I'm not happy. So I would be buyers. I mean, I would be sellers into trading James Harden, not because he's just a bad player, but because you're getting. You could get. You can get. Now, I understand Ben Simmons has not played, but you can get a Ben Simmons for at least 3 years, and it's not like Ben Simmons is out due to injury. He's just out because his feelings are hurt, which is crazy, still in my opinion. But I would still consider that. Because you have him for 3 more years, and you don't need him in the same role that Philly has him in or had him in. So, if I was Brooklyn, I would be sellers. I would be seller. I would think long and hard about being a seller with James Harden. Charlotte, very easy. I would be buyers. Charlotte is a really good young team. I don't think that they're good enough to make a deep run in the playoffs. I think they could get to the playoffs. When you have first-time All-Star LaMelo Ball, you have more than likely most improved player Miles Bridges. The biggest need that they have is a reliable center. Right now, their centers is Mason Plumlee, Kai Jones, who's in the G League right now, and who PJ Walker, who's pretty much a small forward / power forward playing center at times. I just think that they need to really solidify this team. They need a big. They need a reliable big. But of course, that's a lot easier said than done because there's not too many reliable bigs. But you just need a big better than Miles Plumlee, or Mason Plumlee. I'm sorry. So I would just, if I was Charlotte, I would be buyers into getting a big man that's reliable. So Chicago, same thing. I would be buyers for a legit big man. I mean, when you think about it, they don't really have. I mean, you have Vucevic, but Vucevic plays better at the power forward position. It's bad when you have DeMar DeRozan playing power forward position. If I was Chicago, man, I would try to go for a big as well. I mean, you have players on the bench that you don't really play like that, and when Lonzo Ball comes back, you have Ball, you have Caruso, you have Zach LaVine. I would go for a big because you think about it. You get a reliable big. You get maybe, I don't know if it's gonna happen to finance money situation, but you have say you get a Miles Turner. You get a Miles Turner. That means you can slide Vucevic to the 3. Or 4, I'm sorry. You can slide DeMar DeRozan to the 3, play small forward. That means you have Caruso coming off the bench again. You have Lonzo, Zach LaVine. Like, come on now. That's a tough team. A team that's already exceeding expectations at this point. So I would be buyers and try to get a legit big man for if I was Chicago. Cleveland, I honestly think Cleveland should hold, man. And actually, the thing that interests me about Cleveland and the thing that I have to, we really have to monitor is the Colin Sexton thing. Cleveland has been great this time, and they did just get Karis LeVert. So that to me was a big trade. They did get Karis LeVert. I would hold just because you did do the Karis LeVert trade, and you can take relieve some of the offensive pressure off of Darius Garland, who's also a first-time All-Star. So shouts out to him. You have a lot of solid pieces. You have Jared Allen. You have Evan Mobley, who more than likely will be the Rookie of the Year, at least so far this year. You have now Karis LeVert, and you have Darius Garland. While Colin Sexton is injured, you have Kevin Love, who's been good. I would hold, man. I would hold because you already made the trade, like I said, for Karis LeVert, who is a huge pickup for them. Because Karis LeVert is a great player, really good player. I'm not gonna say great, really good player. So I would make the move I would hold. I would hold at this point because you already made the move for Karis LeVert, and I think that Karis LeVert would fit in perfectly with Cleveland because he doesn't need to dominate the ball to be effective. And I think that's the biggest problem with Colin Sexton and Darius Garland playing with each other because Colin Sexton needs the ball to really dominate, and so does Darius Garland. It just doesn't really work out. Now you have Karis LeVert. Now I'm not saying trade Colin Sexton. I don't know what you're going to do with Colin Sexton. You need to make that decision when the decision has to be made. But because you already did Karis LeVert trade, and I think it's a great trade for you, and I think that really solves a lot of needs that you have, I would, and you get off the Rubio contract, which is big. I would hold if I was Cleveland at this point. Dallas Mavericks. I would sell. I mean, I would buy. You need someone that can score the ball, and you need someone that can relieve the offensive pressure off of Luka Doncic. I mean, you lost Tim Hardaway, so that was huge. Porzingis hasn't been the most reliable offensive player. You just need someone. Maybe look at maybe look at a reliable scoring point guard like a Kemba Walker or something. Dallas needs a player that can create their own shot and be a volume scorer to take the pressure off of Luka, because it's pretty much Luka bust at this point as far as offensively. Because at that point, I mean, you have Jalen Brunson, but he's not really a reliable scorer. Reggie Bullock isn't that much of a reliable scorer. So I would say sell if I was Dallas and get. Oh no, buy. I'm sorry. If I was Dallas, I would buy and try to get a scoring point guard. Denver, I would hold because you don't really know what you have right now. And you're still waiting on Jamal Murray to get back. You still have Michael Porter Jr. He's not coming back this year, but at least I don't think he's coming back this year. So I wouldn't really mess. I'm not gonna say mess anything up. I wouldn't really change anything. You have the reigning MVP and could possibly win another one this year in Nikola Jokic. He's been playing great. Aaron Gordon's been playing really good. And again, you're still waiting on Jamal Murray. You still have Michael Porter Jr. Not this year, but probably next year. I wouldn't do much if I was Denver. I don't think that they're good enough to win a championship. In fact, I know they're not good enough to win a championship right now. And I want to see how they look like with Jamal Murray. And I want to see what Jamal Murray looks like coming back from the bad injury, the ACL injury that he has. So I would say hold if I was Denver. Detroit. I don't know, man. Detroit's tough. I mean, when you look at this team, bro, you have Cade Cunningham, but outside of that, you have Diallo. Not Check Diallo. You have Diallo. You have Sadiq Bey, who's really good. Isaiah Stewart, who's just like an energy player. I don't know. I guess. I don't know, man. I guess you would. See, it's a tough one, man. I guess sellers, because you have a lot of young pieces. I mean, you have, like I said, Sadiq Bey, but I wouldn't trade Sadiq Bey. I definitely wouldn't trade Cade Cunningham. Maybe Diallo, see what you can get for him. I think he's 22, 23, something like that. And he's a high energy player. I guess sell. I don't know what to do with Detroit, because to me, there's no immediate move that you can do to make them any closer to a championship team or even a playoff team. You have Corey Joseph. I would say sell. I would say see what you can get for maybe you can see what you can get for maybe Isaiah Stewart. I don't know. See what you can get maybe for. Oh, you also have Jeremy Grant. And Jeremy Grant clearly, I don't know if he doesn't want to be there, but his name is always in talks and about getting traded. And him and Diallo will be your pieces. I mean, Jeremy Grant, he's your best player by far at this point. Not saying Cade can't be that, but right now it's Jeremy Grant. So probably sell. See what you can get for a Jeremy Grant, because you can get a lot for a Jeremy Grant, especially from a team from a team that really needs him, like maybe the Lakers or something. So I would say sell. Golden State. Golden State is in a interesting spot, a good spot, but interesting spot. They're really banking. They're banking a lot on Wiseman. And I understand why. I mean, he was a second or third overall pick. He's an athletic big man that can kind of, bring the ball out and shoot from three a little bit. He's really good when he's on. He's really good rim protector. He's just injured. He's injured, and of course we saw Klay Thompson come back this year, and they're hoping that James Wiseman comes back at least close to the same that he or better than he was. Because they're waiting on James Wiseman, I would say hold. I mean, the team is second in the NBA in record. Steph Curry's playing great. Klay Thompson looks great coming back from 2 devastating injuries. Some of their role players that I didn't think were going to emerge this fast has looked great, like a Jordan Poole, like a Gary Payton II. Hell, Jonathan Kuminga looks incredible. And, of course, Andrew Wiggins looks great. Otto Porter looks really good for them. So this is a great team. Now, if you did not want to wait for a James Wiseman, I would understand if you were to buy. Try to get a reliable big man. Draymond Green is out, so maybe get a forward. Maybe talk to OKC and maybe get one of their forwards or something like that, or see if you can. I don't know how the money's gonna work, but see if you can get a Miles Turner from Indiana. I understand that, but this is also a very delicate team. I said delicate because there's a lot of players on this team that nobody expected to be this good this fast. And you don't want to mess that chemistry up. And if you bring in a player like a Miles Turner, if you bring in a player like, I don't know, a Sabonis, that is going to change the way that you play. And for a team that's second in the NBA in record, that's kind of not what you want to do. So I would hold if I was Golden State. I would hold, and that's pretty much what I think they're going to do, because they're waiting on James Wiseman to come back so this team can be whole. So I'll say if I was Golden State, I would wait. Houston, I don't know. I don't know, man. Sell. Try to get someone to get John Wall's contract. I want to see John Wall back in the league, man. Try to get someone to take John Wall's contract off your hands. I don't know. See if you can get someone or see if someone wants to take Aaron Gordon, maybe the Lakers. I don't know. Christian Wood, he's a good player that you could probably trade. I would say sell because I mean, Houston is clearly in a rebuild, and they're clearly they don't really have a direction right now. So, I mean, you have Jalen Green, you have Christian Wood, you have KBJ. Outside of that, you don't really have much. Tate, I would be sellers, I guess, and see someone desperate. You need someone to desperately take that John Wall contract, because you're gonna be. I mean, that's a tough financial. I mean, you knew that when you traded with the Wizards, but that's a tough financial hurdle to get over. So I would say sell, I guess, for Houston. In the Pacers, complete sell. They're pretty much in a rebuild, or they're trying to blow it up. You give away Karis LeVert. Reports are saying that they're going to try to make a trade with Washington to get off of Sabonis, which is their best player. Miles Turner is definitely in a lot of people are talking about Miles Turner as well. The Pacers are in full rebuild mode, or trying to be in full rebuild mode. And I understand. I mean, they brought Lance Stevenson back for the whole year. Not saying he's garbage, but that should tell you a lot. Indiana Pacers definitely in sell mode. Sell. And they're trying to blow it up as well. So they're in sell mode. Clippers. Well, the Clippers have kind of been in buy mode. I mean, you do get Norman Powell and Robin Covington from Portland, which was big because Norman Powell is a good offensive player and Robin Covington's good defensively. And you don't know what you have until you get Kawhi Leonard and Paul George back. I think it could be interesting. Maybe. I don't know. They probably won't do it and not going to do it, but see what you can get for Paul George. See what you can get for Kawhi Leonard. Now, I know it's almost blasphemous to think trade Kawhi. Yeah, I mean, when's the last time we seen Kawhi? So see what you can get for him. I mean, but the market isn't that strong right now, especially with the players that are available. I don't know anybody that would want to trade, or I don't know anybody that couldn't pull off a Kawhi Leonard trade for pieces nowhere close to that. So I don't know, man. I would say they're already buyers. So I would say buy and sell because you did get off of Eric Bledsoe's contract, which was, yeah, I guess buy. I guess sellers. See if you can get anything for Luke Kennard, maybe one of the Morris or the Morris brother. I'll say sell. I'll say sell for the Clippers. Lakers. You know what's funny about the Lakers? They want to be in buy mode. They want to be, but they're just so their roster and their salary cap is really strapped to 3 people: LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook. Now they would love to get off Russell Westbrook because like a lot of people thought Russell Westbrook is not a good fit with LeBron James. Russell Westbrook is not even close to the shooter that he needs to be. Neither is really LeBron James, but LeBron James doesn't really need to defer to Russell Westbrook. It kind of has to be the other way around. They would love to get off. They would love to get off Russell Westbrook. They just can't because nobody wants that contract, and Russell Westbrook has not put a good work of art on tape this year. So you're not gonna. And we know the type of team that flourishes with Russell Westbrook. You can't be a team. You can't be a. Russell Westbrook is a person that needs the ball in their hands. Russell Westbrook is a person that dominates the ball, that is high energy, but he makes poor decisions in late game situations because he's just always on go mode. He's always on 100. So you can't have a player like Russell Westbrook on a team like a Golden State, like a Milwaukee Bucks. You can't have Westbrook can't be one of your primary players when you're trying to win a championship because it's proven that he hasn't really been able to do that. So the Lakers would love to get off of Russell Westbrook. They just can't. And then outside of that, I mean, nobody else has really put on good tape outside of LeBron. You're not trading LeBron. So, I mean, nobody really wants Anthony Davis. Not saying he's garbage, and I don't even think he's available. But if he was available, he's constantly hurt. Nobody wants Talen Horton-Tucker, which is pretty much the best piece that they have. I mean, they're trying to get off Kent Bazemore. They're trying to get off DeAndre Jordan. Like, there's a lot of players that they're trying to get off of that's just hard to do because of contract situations, because of, I mean, who really wants these players, and why would you give up a solid asset for that? So, you know, so Lakers would definitely like to be buy and sell, honestly, but yeah. Memphis probably buy. I think the Joe Ingles injury is huge for them, especially when we talk about playoffs, and you want someone to fill in that small forward role, someone that can shoot the ball, because Joe Ingles' biggest attribute was, of course, his shooting ability. And while you have Bogdanovich, he was on the bench. So, I would say buy. Try to get like a person that can play that small forward role that can also shoot the ball. Maybe look at a Terrence Ross. Maybe look at someone like that from maybe one of the lesser teams. Hell, try to see if you can get maybe even though he hasn't really been shooting that well this year, but maybe a Kentarius Caldwell-Pope. I don't know. You want someone that can fill in that role, because losing Joe Ingles was huge for Utah. So I would say buyers, trying to get a shooting small forward. Miami Heat. I would say hold. I mean, they don't really need to do much. Now, if there's an instance where you can get maybe a huge player or a player that can, I don't know, change the trajectory of your big man situation. Well, I'm not gonna say situation, but I don't know. No, nah, I'll say hold. Kyle Lowry's playing really well. Jimmy Butler's playing really well. Bam Adebayo's coming back from injury, or still, trying to get in the flow of things after missing a lot of time due to injury. PJ Tucker has been a lot better than I thought he would be for this team. No, he's been good. So I'll say hold if I was Miami. They don't really need to do much. So, not to mention Tyler Hero has been playing incredible. He's been playing so good that people are kind of upset that he didn't make the All-Star team. That's how good he's playing. Duncan Robinson, he's still reliable from three. So, if I was Miami, I would hold. Milwaukee Bucks, I would probably buy because Brook Lopez has not really been there this year, and I think that Brook Lopez was Bobby Portis has been playing well, but I don't know if Bobby Portis can be your primary big going into the playoffs. Now, I know that especially in the Phoenix series, Brook Lopez was regulated to the bench a lot of times, but I would want a quality center, maybe a center that can shoot. I don't know. Maybe look at a Miles Turner. Maybe look at one of the centers from Cleveland. I don't know. But I would try to move on the sense that Brook Lopez is not going to really be there, and I would want a replacement for him. So I would say buyers if I was my Milwaukee. Minnesota Timberwolves. I don't know, man. I would say, you have Karl Anthony Towns, who's an all-star this year. Anthony Edwards has been great. D'Angelo Russell has been D'Angelo Russell. He's been all right. But you don't really have a defender. I mean, you thought that it was going to be Patrick Beverley. That has not been the case at all. So they don't really have a defender on their team. So maybe look for a defensive player. Maybe see if you can. I doubt it's gonna happen, but see if you can snag a Ben Simmons. Maybe see if you can get a Marcus Smart, something like that. I think that you would want to be. They don't really have defense on the team. They're really good offensively, but they're not the best defensive team. Yeah, I would say. Not to mention Patrick Beverley ain't done nothing for them but get Tex on the bench. So I would say buyers try to get a defensive player for Minnesota. The Pelicans, man. The Pelicans have been making moves, man. They got C.J. McCollum. Now, while C.J. McCollum isn't a huge household name, C.J. McCollum is a bucket. And we'll talk about Portland when we get there. In fact, we'll talk about Portland soon. But that's a big move for New Orleans, man. Getting C.J. McCollum. But at this point, we really have to have a serious conversation about Zion Williamson. Is Zion Williamson, we haven't seen him all year, and apparently he's still struggling with his weight. He's still struggling with rehab due to his weight. So it's like, you have a player that I feel that you can build a team around, and that is Brandon Ingram. So what are you going to do with Zion? Now, I'm not saying you just go up and trade him, seeing as though Zion was a product from the Anthony Davis trade. But and the Pelicans have made some moves. Like I said, you get a CJ McCollum, so you get a scoring player. I would. Well, they already got CJ, so they were already sellers and buyers. So I would just say hold. I don't know what the Pelicans can do. I don't know. I would just say hold at this point, because you don't know what you have yet until your team is whole, and who knows when that's going to be, because Zion Williamson is still hurt. So, but getting CJ McCollum was huge for New Orleans. He's a bucket. So I don't know how reliable he is in certain situations, but he is still a bucket. So I'll take that. New York blowed it up. Man, New York needs to be sellers, man. It's just that playoff berth last year really got to a lot of people's head and talking about we should run it back. And I was always wondering why you keep saying we're going to run it back. Y'all made it to the first round and lost to the Atlanta Hawks. They need to. I mean, look at this status of New York right now. You bring in Kemba Walker. He was out the rotation. The only reason why he came back to the rotation is because Derrick Rose got hurt. You make a trade to get Cam Reddish, who is now pretty much out the rotation because your coach didn't want him. Oh, on top of that, your best player is having mood swings and over here just getting into it with freaking equipment guys and Julius Randle and getting it with fans. So I don't and still can't go right. I'm not gonna say can. Still decides not to go right, and this team continues to blow big leads or gets destroyed. I think Julius Randle probably needs to go. I think Kemba definitely needs to go. I don't know. They've been trying to get. I don't know. They definitely need to be sellers. They need to blow it up. Blow it up. Thunder, Oklahoma City Thunder. I mean, I guess they're really content with getting these draft picks. So I guess, I mean, like they're really content with these draft picks. So, I mean, just keep getting draft picks. So I keep selling for draft picks. So they're really content with these draft picks. So Oklahoma City Thunder, get them draft picks. Orlando Magic, that's another team, bro. They're just bad, and they're I don't really know which way. There's a lot of things they need. They need a veteran presence. I would say sell because I mean Orlando needs so much. I mean, your best players are what? Bam. Mo Bamba. I totally forgot Markelle Fultz on this team. Yeah, no. I guess sell. They need to. I don't know. I don't know what Orlando needs to do, man. Philly, sell. They need to get Ben Simmons off of this team. I understand that there's a high asking price from Daryl Morey, but Ben Simmons is doing absolutely nothing for this team. In fact, the only thing that Ben Simmons is doing is lowering his value the day after day he does not play. Like it's not working. It's not working. There's no way that you're going to me, he's played it. There's no way that Ben Simmons can even come back to Philly. So you have to be sellers. You have to get him off this team. Now, I know that Daryl Morey said he's willing to play the long game, but it seems like Ben Simmons is willing to play the long game too because he hasn't even been back. So you need to get Ben Simmons. I understand that you might have to take another casualty, like you might have to get rid of a Maxey, you might have to get rid of a Seth Curry, but you need to get Ben Simmons off the team. And think about it. Imagine if you get James Harden for Ben Simmons and Tyronn Maxey. While yes, Maxey has been big for your team, you have James Harden. Sellers. Philly needs to be sellers. Phoenix Sun, hold. You don't need to do nothing. Phoenix does not need to do anything. They have been great. They're the number one team in the league. Nothing. Hold. Phoenix needs to hold. Let's park this audio adventure in Portland real quick. So I just said that the Pelicans made a trade for CJ McCollum, meaning they made a trade with Portland. And Portland has been very active when we talk about trades. I mean, you trade CJ McCollum to the Pelicans. You trade Norman Powell and Robert Covington. You trade your 3 out of your 4 best arguably 3 out of your 4 best players, or best players this year. Let's say that. To other teams. Like I said, Norman Powell, Robert Covington goes to the Clippers. You get back Neil Alexander Walker, or Nickel Alexander Walker, I think his name is. He's a bucket. He's pretty good. You pretty much trade Norman Powell and Robert Covington for a bag of Fritos. But this is why we're parking at Portland. Damian Lillard. Reports have come out are pretty much saying that the Portland Trailblazers are making these moves, trading all these players so they can build a quality team around Damian Lillard. And now they have the young pieces and young assets and they have the cap room to now build around Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard. Think about how this year has gone. You come out and voice your frustration. You come out and voice your frustration that the team needs to be better. The team needs to bring on better play. The team needs to be better. Should be no reason why you keep getting bounced out the first round, or there's no reason why you're really not in contention when you're that good. Since you've said that, the team has broken up that backcourt and CJ McCollum, which I think they're 3 or 4 years too late. You get rid of Norman Powell after trading for him just a year ago. Robert Covington is pretty much your best small forward at this point. Was your best small forward at this point. He's gone. Well, yes, Anthony Simons has been good. Is he good enough to be a reliable second option like CJ McCollum was? I don't know. Yo, Damian Lillard, it's not working, bro. Damian Lillard, you need to get up off that loyalty thing, bro. Yes, Portland has now the leverage and now the opportunity to build around Damian Lillard. But look at their past. Do they have any record of being able to do that? You know how long it was for them to build a quality team around Clyde Drexler? I'll tell you, it never happened. That's why Clyde Drexler up and left. They had trouble building. Well, I also understand because it was due to injury, but they had trouble building around Brandon Roy. They had trouble building around LaMarcus Aldridge. What makes you think Damian Lillard is going to be different? Damian, you need to go, bro. Portland they're clearly blowing it up. So Damian Lillard needs to go. He needs to go to a team where he can contend for a championship, because Portland will not be it. I understand he's hurt right now, and this would be the perfect time. Like, I need to go. So, yeah. Sacramento Kings, sellers. You need to get off of De'Aaron Fox, not because he's a bad player, but he's the best player that you have right now. That is really and Marvin Bagley. They've been trying to get off Marvin Bagley for a minute. Also Harrison Barnes. So, yeah, you need to be sellers, man. There's a lot of players and a lot of teams that can use these players. So I would get off Harrison Barnes. I would get off Marvin Bagley. And if you can find the right deal, maybe in New York, maybe if you can get like a Julius Randle for De'Aaron Fox, I would pull that in a heartbeat. Yeah, definitely sellers. San Antonio Spurs, sellers. Why is Thaddeus Young on this team? Now, you've already been sellers with some of the trades that you made. No. Why is Thaddeus Young on this team? Thaddeus Young ain't doing nothing for you. You need to be sellers, San Antonio Spurs. You have DeJounte Murray, shouts out being a first-time All-Star. yeah, you need to be sellers because this team isn't really going anywhere. So Toronto, I don't know, probably hold. No. It's really, I mean, you have Fred VanVleet. You probably sellers because I think you want to get off of that Gordon Dragic contract because he hasn't really done much. Well, he hasn't done much for you, honestly, and he clearly doesn't want to be there. So I would say sellers, try to get off that Gordon Dragic contract. Maybe try to get yourself a shooting guard more reliable than Gary Trent Jr. And Gary Trent Jr. has been great, but how reliable is he for a totality of a season? I don't know. Or do you don't really have a solid backup either? So I would say sellers. Utah Jazz. Wait, I talked about the Utah Jazz, didn't I? Oh, I definitely did. I was what did I talk about? I didn't talk about. I talked about I didn't talk. All right, so I did talk about Utah Jazz. I apologize. I didn't talk about the Memphis Grizzlies. Let's talk about the Memphis Grizzlies right now. Memphis should definitely be, I'll say, buyers. I don't think they have a second reliable scorer outside of John Morant. While Triple J has been good, Desmond Bane has been great. I just don't. They're not really reliable scorers. So I would say Memphis try to get like a shooter, not a shooter, a scorer, someone that can put the ball on the ground because Triple J is not putting the ball on the ground really, and neither Desmond Baines can for a little bit. Grayson Allen's not doing that. I would if I was Memphis, I would be sell or buyers trying to get a person that can create the ball, create their own shot. In Washington, I talked about this last episode. Blow this up, and I hate. How hard it is being a Washington fan sometimes. Think about it. You made so many big moves this offseason, man. Getting Spencer Dinwiddie, getting Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, getting Kyle Kuzma, getting Montrezl Harrell, and more than likely Spencer Dinwiddie, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. In fact, everybody on the team, maybe outside of Bradley Beal, is available for trade. And this is the same team that was number one at one point, man. Now, I know he's linked Sabonis, they're pretty much linked to getting Sabonis, so that could happen. But yeah, they need to blow that up. They need to let everybody go. And I would be hesitant in keeping Bradley Beal. So, because he's been there for God knows how long and ain't done nothing. So that's my trade deadline options. Let me know how you feel. Let me know, who did I miss out? Who should go? Who should stay? Who should be holders? Who should be sellers? Who should be buyers? Let me know. But let's move forward. So a little bit of NFL news. All the coaching positions are pretty much being filled up. And so Lovie Smith got hired to be the Houston Texans head coach. He was their defensive coordinator. It's hard to be happy for Lovie Smith. It's hard to be happy for Lovie Smith because you can see what's going on. First and foremost, I think it's telling that Josh McCown, who hasn't a lick of coaching experience, was about to get the head coach. In fact, I think the NFL pretty much told him, "Yeah, no, don't do that." Like if it wasn't for Brian Flores' lawsuit, I'm almost sure. I don't know, but I'm almost sure that Josh McCown would be the head coach of the Houston Texans. Which is one reason why it's hard for me to be happy for Lovie Smith, because it feels like that they're just doing this you're telling me that Josh McCown, Lovie Smith has been on that roster, by the way. You're telling me that Josh McCown has the same cachet that has never coached a day in his life, has the same cachet as a coach in Lovie Smith, who brought the Bears to the Super Bowl. You know what's also funny to me? When I hear when I hear when I hear that that they say that this has absolutely nothing to do with race. Which is hard for me to believe that because, again, Josh McCown was about to be the head coach of the Houston Texans. And I also don't feel good for Lovie Smith is because look at David Culley. David Culley did an exceptional job, even though their record didn't show. But you also have to look at, like, what happens if you can't trade Deshaun Watson and the same? What happens if Lovie Smith wins 4 games again or 4 games this year? What happens? And if you keep him, then why fire David Culley? It just feels like they hired David Culley to pretty much appease Deshaun Watson. Because Deshaun Watson said that he wants an African-American coach, and you hire David Culley. Now it feels like they're hiring Lovie Smith to say, hey, we care about black people. You know, we saw the lawsuit for Brian Flores, so let's just put in Lovie Smith, who, by the way, damn near didn't get the job because they felt Josh McCown was the right man for the job until the 19th hour. You know, it's also funny. Shouts out to Mike McDaniel for getting the Dolphins head coaching job. But I just found it strange that in his press conference, and all I've heard is he identifies as biracial. First of all, for my listening audience, pause this if you haven't seen him and go type in Mike McDonald and tell me if you think that he identifies as biracial. I mean, I guess. So I'm happy for Lovie Smith. I'm happy for the fact that he should have been a head coach again for a while, and I'm happy for him. But I just it's hard for me to be like ecstatic because of the organization. I mean, the Houston Texans have shown a propensity to be tone deaf, and I said this before with the David Culley. Why would you? Now I understand that African Americans don't really get that opportunity, so I get why you would do that. But why take a job from an organization that shows that they are not realistic about their expectations and shows that they will fire you on a heartbeat, even if you don't deserve it? So, but shouts out to Lovie Smith, man. I'm happy that he did get the job. And lastly, before we go, the NFL Pro Bowl was this weekend or last weekend, and it was garbage. We say this year after year, but they don't even really tackle no more. Now I get that the NFL is hard to have like an all-star weekend. It's hard because it's a contact sport, man. And the fact that pretty much not every contract is guaranteed. I understand like a lot of players ain't really trying to do all that. And because it's such a violent sport, it's not like you can just play tackle. It's not like you can, because you can get hurt. It's not like you can just play, or you can just, go out there and hit, have a good time. But I don't understand why they don't. First of all, I don't understand why they have the Pro Bowl in the first place. I mean, this has been multiple years now that it's just been lackluster. I understand the skills part, like the thing they do like the day before. I get that, and it's fun. The catches, the quarterback challenges. They should keep that. And I would put it in the middle of the year instead of the end, because hell, we even saw a lot of players were not in game shape because once their season was over, they ain't done nothing. They just been chilling. So to then work yourself back, it just, no, the Pro Bowl needs to be done away with. I do think that they need to continue to, have a Pro Bowl as far as like, say I'm a Pro Bowler or he's a Pro Bowler, but I think that it should just be like a skills competition week or something, or weekend, like they do, like I said, with the spectacular catches or the dodgeball or the quarterback throw. Like those are interesting, those are cool, but I'm not like, it was so bad. The Pro Bowl was god awful. I mean, the best moments were player interview, the kicker dude talking about 3 holds, 2 hot dogs, and the whole back and forth between Stephon Diggs and Trayvon Diggs. Like the Pro Bowl was bad, man. It was bad. But there you have it. That's been today's episode of the Unpopular Podcast. I appreciate you guys. If you want an Unpopular Podcast shirt, hoodie, sweatshirt, long sleeve, joggers, the link is in the description below. Multiple different colors, multiple different designs. So whatever you want, I got you. Just click on it, click buy, and it gets sent to you. Please support. Also, please subscribe to wherever you're listening. Please subscribe to wherever you're watching. If you can, leave a like, leave a comment. We'll definitely chat it up. I kind of want to get the algorithms going so more people can watch. And again, I appreciate you guys. I do appreciate the support I constantly get. And until next time, much love.